Hello and welcome to Wrestling with Real Estate, where we look to chokeslam all your real estate problems. I'm your host, former WWE wrestler and now Cirque du Soleil performer, and of course, multi-family real estate investor, Barri Griffiths. Now today we're joined by Artemis Scantalides. Hey Artemis, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Barry. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be on the show.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. We had a great conversation actually beforehand, and
Yes.
there's a lot of cool stuff that we're talking about that we're going to kind of dive into today's conversation. So that'll be a lot of fun. But before we kind of do all that and have a great conversation, no doubt, do you want to sort of introduce yourself and give people an idea about who you are and what you've been up to?
Absolutely. So I own an online business called EmpowerU Online Coaching, and we help primarily people in the service industry, help them to build their online businesses and also to overcome any sort of money mindset, limiting beliefs around money mindset or self-worth that come up, or even things related to imposter syndrome. So our philosophy is practical principles backed by spiritual and energetic strategies. So we're all about combining the practical and the spiritual and the energetic. And before that, I used to work in the fitness industry as a strength and conditioning coach. I also used to do nutrition coaching, and I had an online business doing that. And then before that, I owned a facility with my husband. My husband and I own our current business together. And how I know Barry is, I used to work for Ka as the strength and conditioning coach for Ka. And then way back before I worked in the fitness industry, I used to work in an office. So I took the really big leap and left the office to work full-time in the fitness industry and never looked back. And it just evolved into this whole other career.
Very cool, very cool. Out of interest, have you always been into fitness, or was there something that triggered you? Were you an athlete beforehand? Where does the fitness industry fit?
Yeah, this was something so when I started studying ballet when I was 3.5. So all my life I was athletic my entire life. So first it was ballet from like 3.5 till I was 27. Then I went on to study Kung Fu, got my black belt in Kung Fu. And that whole time, and then of course I got into like one of my inspirations for starting to lift weights when I was in high school was Linda Hamilton and Terminator 2. Like I wanted the Linda Hamilton arms. So I was like, going to the YMCA and like using the Nautilus equipment and like just trying to build my Linda Hamilton arms. So in between all the ballet and the Kung Fu and all that, I did also go to the gym and lift. And I was always really, really into fitness. And so when I started working in an office, it was really hard for me to be sedentary like that all the time and not have fitness as a part of my life or sport or something. And of course, like after work, after the office, I was going and like studying Kung Fu or going to dance. And but then along the way there, I ended up getting my spin instructor certification because I took my very first spin instructor class, or my very first spin class. It was like really long time ago. It was in 1998. I always joke like that was like back when like MC Hammer pants were back in style. It was like that long ago. But when I took that class, I was working for the federal government at the time at the United States Mint as a contract specialist in procurement. And I was like, oh man, like how I came out of that class was I felt very transformed, right? I went into that class and the instructor, just like with the music and the moving to the beat of the music and all that, I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel transformed. And I know everyone else in this class does too. And that was the effect that I wanted to have on people. Like I would just really wanted to help people and make a difference in that way, like lift them up in some way. And so it took me a long time to figure out how to make the transition, but eventually, I transitioned into working in fitness full time.
Very cool, very cool, very cool. I'm glad you did. Yeah, I know you were very popular at CAR, so it was. It's a shame when you left, but it's a fun show. So yeah. It was good to have you. But you transitioned then into full time doing what you do now, which is helping people with their online business. Is that a good? What does that entail?
Yes. So when I left Ka originally, when I first started out, I had a part-time online business doing fitness coaching and nutrition coaching. So when I left Ka, it was because I was building that online fitness and nutrition business to full-time, and it happened much faster than I had expected. So I had to let things go. such as like working for Ka. And but then by the end of 2019, which that was the year that I left Ka, I decided I wanted to pivot my business to business coaching for fitness professionals, helping them to build their online business. And what that entails is it's helping them to learn how to create an online offer, which is different than how you would create something to train someone in person in terms of like pricing and how will you deliver it online? How are you going to do this online coaching? Like what systems do you need like an online training platform, and then also social media and content strategy. So how are you going to market yourself, market your business, speak to your ideal client? How are you going to get that out there on social media? And then also even know how to use social media, because it's changing all the time. So like, for example, Instagram right now, they're prioritizing reels, and they like things that are very savable and shareable, like graphics and memes and things like that, right? And then whereas like if you look at Facebook, things that are really hot right now are like going live and posting like questions, things like that. So knowing how to use the different platforms and the different ways depending on what they're prioritizing, and then also speaking to your ideal client. And speaking to your ideal client, that involves really figuring out who is your ideal client, right? Who do you want to work with? Like now that you have this online business, it's not like when you go to work for a commercial gym, you're just training anyone and everyone who comes in the door, right? You're training like all general population, whoever, right? But now with an online business and it's your business, you get to like niche down into working with the people that you really want to work with. So once you determine who that is, we help our clients determine who their ideal client is. There's a whole like series of questions and just dialing that in. And then after they determine that, learn how to speak to their ideal client online, and then use the different platforms to market themselves and bring people in. And then there's the whole other level after that. Once you have people filling out your application and meeting with you, okay, so how having sales calls can be like terrifying for a lot of coaches, right? It's so out of their comfort zone. They don't even know how to run a sales call. A lot of that can come from being afraid to talk about money, being afraid to talk about their pricing, being afraid to charge their worth. So we help our clients to learn how to do more of like transformational sales in terms of, remember that you're operating from a place of service and you're helping people. And we have a whole system that we walk them through in terms of focusing on the client rather than like hard sales, in terms of just like pushing the person to buy, even if they're not ready yet. So nurturing them, right? Being compassionate. And then the other side is for the individual is like helping them to work on owning their self-worth and healing their relationship with money and overcoming their doubt and things like imposter syndrome, so they can step into that sales call being the leader that they are, being the leader, the expert, and representing that, embodying that with their energy and their confidence and how they speak to the person on the other end of the call. So there's that. And then just what comes next after all that, after you launch your first offer and you're bringing in clients, how do you grow your business so you can hit multiple six figures, and then hire a team? And so we help them throughout the whole journey, from like when they're like just starting out and learning all of the basic strategy and tactical business principles and overcoming the limiting beliefs. And then we help to support them as they grow. Like I have some clients who, they're having like 40K months now, right? And I help them to build a team and scale their business. So that's like another area. We'll have people come to us that maybe they hit 100K, maybe they're averaging anywhere from like, they have like anywhere from like 15K months to 17K months. And it's just them, or it's like them and one other person. And they're just like, I'm so burnt out. I'm doing like all the things. I know I need to scale my business, but I have no idea how to hire a team. And even with that, there's like a whole other level of limiting beliefs that come up in terms of like letting go, like trusting that if you bring someone else into the business, they're going to do it as well as you do it, if not better. And then like paying someone else, it's not going to and also like limiting beliefs around like paying someone else. Like it's scary to let go of that money to allow yourself to be supported, when in fact what it does is it just gives you so much more freedom to grow and do more. So we help also like that level. That's the other, I would say, people when they come into our business, they're like just starting out, and maybe they've been doing a little bit on their own, but they're like struggling with marketing, or they're just like, they kind of like scotch tape some offers together, but they're not charging enough. Or like, then we also have people coming in around like the 100K or a little over 100K mark. And they're just like, I'm bursting at the seams and I'm burnt out and I need to scale my business and I need to work through so many different things to allow myself to be supported. And I don't even know where to start to hire the right people.
That's so fascinating. So many things that you talked about there have such parallels with real estate, because I think essentially it's business, right? It's all business. Real estate, online businesses, it's all business. But it's like you said, right? You know, in real estate, when you're raising money for deals, you know, you find money and you buy large deals. You want that avatar that they talk about. The avatar, you find who your avatar is, and you want to speak to that person, and you want to, you know, do all your digital marketing, all your social media stuff towards that person. Because if you're too broad, you know, if you try to speak to everyone, you speak to no one, right? Because
Yes.
you can't convey that message to the right person. And it's that, and then it's like you said, it's that so many entrepreneurs have that problem of letting go. Like you just talked about, I hear it so many times. Well, they're not going to do as good a job as me, or, you know, I need to do it myself. I'm going to do this, I need to do that. But the truth of the reality is, to grow your business and to create that freedom for yourself as well, and to do what you're best at, you've got to let go, right? Because they say, what they always say is, I always hear people say is, what if they don't do as good a job? Well, yes, but what if they do a better job? What's to say? It's very egotistical of you to think that they can't do a better job than you, right? There's someone that's really good at whatever aspect that you want to let go of, right? And by letting go of that, you can focus on what you're really good at and really grow the business. And I'm sure that's the thing.
Yeah, you can. And I struggled with that too. Like I struggled with that when my husband and I owned our gym. And then in 2019, my husband used to be the head therapist for Zumanity over at Cirque, and he was still working for Cirque when I was running my online business full time by myself. And then he left in August 2019, and I had trouble like letting him into the business that I had created. So I struggled with that, even like letting my own husband in and allowing myself to be supported. And a lot of times, like another like limiting belief that I see and that I even experienced was like, well, you know, I don't want to take time away from these money-making activities, which is like marketing and sales calls. So I don't want to take time out, and coaching clients. I don't want to take time out from that, because I'll like lose money to, you know, go and find someone to hire who will help me support me like long term, right? If I just took like a couple hours to find that person, then I would get this long term support and it would like free up more time for me. But I didn't even want to take that little bit of time to make that happen. And I see that a lot with clients who come to work with me. And it's like, yeah, it's crazy.
It's all mindset, right? Like you said, and that's a big thing that you work on. And you said a big thing when we were talking beforehand. A big thing is the money, right? The money mindset of stuff, right? It's important to get our minds right about money, like, because money is such a strange thing in this day and age, right? Even to today, like, people are scared about money. You don't talk about money. You don't tell people how much you earn. You don't tell people all this stuff, right? And it's got such a taboo subject, money. But it's, as we were talking about, money is such a tool, such a resource to be used in the right way. And you said such a great thing, I think, is that if you're a good person, it doesn't matter, right? If you have more money, it's not going to make you a bad person. It just probably means that you're going to do more good. And I think that's so important for people. But that was so interesting to me that we were talking about that, the money mindset of stuff.
It's so true. And it affects so many areas of your business if you don't have a healthy relationship with money. And that's what it is. It's a relationship with money. So if you make the analogy of like a human relationship, if you are not communicating well in your relationship with your partner, and you're afraid to talk to your partner, and you're afraid to talk about certain things, and you're just always walking on eggshells and tiptoeing around things, at some point that relationship is going to break. It's the same thing with money. If you can't talk about it, if you're not comfortable talking about whatever it is, whether it's like the money you have, the money you don't have, the debt you have, like the money that you want to earn and have, if you're not comfortable talking about all those things, then eventually that's an unhealthy relationship, and whatever you have going on financially in your life, in your business, it's like that's going to break. And so it's really important. Like one thing I share when clients come on board, I'm like, listen, if you're not comfortable talking about money now, you're going to get really, really comfortable talking about money working with me. You're going to talk about all of your money, the money you have, the money you don't have, whatever it is, the money you want, or the money you think you want, but you feel guilty wanting that. And then I'm going to tell you all about like my money in terms of like what's going on in our business and like what we charge for our offers and like all those things, right? We're just going to talk about it freely until you get comfortable, and it helps you to improve your relationship with money.
And what do you find is one of the biggest blocks, one of the biggest problems people have with that relationship with money?
I see people feeling really guilty receiving money. So like when it comes to, so I work with a lot of coaches, people people in the fitness industry and even healthcare professionals. So a lot of service-based people service-based industry. So they're in this industry because they just want to help people, right? So it goes back to that, like, good people do great things with money, right? So good people do great things with no money, right? Especially if you're in the service industry, you're just in it because you want to help people. So if you give them money, then they will do great, amazing things with it. So with that, when they start charging, when they're like, okay, well, like I would just do this for free because I love it. When they learn like, well, this is my business and I have to like pay my mortgage and I got to buy groceries and gas and all that stuff, and they have to start charging for it. Well, then there's this whole like guilt thing. They feel guilty charging for what they're doing. They feel guilty receiving the money, and they feel like they need to prove their worth when they receive the money, and like prove that to their clients and add the value. And a lot of this goes back to when our beliefs around money were formed by the time we were 7 or 8 years old. So it all goes back to child development, and it goes back to how like the energy around money in our house with their parents. And I'm not like saying like, our parents were horrible or anything like that. It just comes down to like our parents do the best that they did the best that they could with what they had and the limiting beliefs that they had and how they were raised, right? So whatever the energy was around money in the house, that's what we learned. Whatever our parents were saying about like, money doesn't go on trees, or it's like, you can't have everything you want. You have to work hard to make money. You should always be working, because if you're not working, then you're not making money. Or it's like where that comes from, that you have to like prove your worth, prove your value. That's like when you were a kid and you're like, oh, mom, I want a cookie. Well, you have to go do your chores first and then you can have a cookie. So we learn like you have to go do this thing to earn the reward, right? So then that we transfer that over to money, right? Or allowance, right? We're doing like, and there's good intent with getting an allowance for chores. Like that's just learning work ethic, and when you work, you make money, right? But that can also be translated as like, oh, I have to work and I have to do this thing in order to receive the money. And if I don't do this thing, then I feel really guilty because I didn't earn it. I'm not worthy of it. And the fact of the matter is, we were all born innately worthy. Like we're worthy of whatever we want, right? And when we were babies, like, yeah, and before that time, that like when we were kids, we just like wanted we had big dreams. I want to be an astronaut. Like I want to fly a plane. I want to have a big yacht. I want to have a pony. I want to have a unicorn. Like we were okay saying we want. We were totally fine sharing all of our desires. But then at some point, someone told us, no, you can't have that. You have to go do this first before you get that. Or we don't have money for a pony. Are you kidding me? Right? So we learn that it's bad to have all these desires. And then we form all those beliefs by the time we're 7 or 8. And then we carry them, unless we're working through them, we carry them into our adults' lives, and it starts to permeate our personal lives and our business.
Yeah, I know it's so interesting and
crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. And it's what I love about this conversation is I know we're talking about you specialize in online businesses, but it's the same real estate businesses. It's that mindset behind everything. You could apply this to, you could just change what you're talking about to real estate. Put the word real estate in front of online businesses for your clients. And it's exactly the same thing, And I think this mindset aspect of shifting and figuring out stuff and understanding it is so important, because this is what drives everything, right? If you don't, like you said, if you don't think you're worthy, if you don't think that you're able to, if you don't amend that relationship that you have with money and make it a positive thing, it's going to be hard for you to be successful. And just by understanding these things, I think even just by creating awareness, people might not even be aware of their negative mindset towards money, or that they should have a positive. And I think this conversation is fantastic. I think it's so interesting. But you said, how do you start working with your clients to change this? If you know, some people might have a great relationship with them, and that's great for you that you don't have to work through that. But for the people that do, that you're trying to change this, how do you work through it with them? For someone who's listening, you might be able to take something away.
Well, so the first thing, and this comes up, I'm sure, in real estate. We were just talking about it too. It's like, there will be something in your business that you have to go and do that causes this fear and these limiting beliefs to come up. Like you gave the example of like in real estate, oftentimes they will people in real estate, like in real estate investment, they'll be making money on the house, like whatever their investments are, and they like feel uneasy, unsettled by it, right? Limiting beliefs and fear starts to come up, right? So in my business, it's like, for example, I had a client who her father was not well. She was the primary caretaker for her father, and she was building her online business, and she started to feel guilty that she was taking time away from, and she wasn't even taking time away from taking care of her dad, but she started to feel guilty about her online business because she thought that, like, she was afraid that if it grew and it got bigger and she got busier, that would take time away from her taking care of her dad. So I was like, well, listen, if you're sitting here holding on to this guilt for growing your online business, it's not going to grow, because as long as you feel guilty of it growing, because that will take time away from your dad, then you're not going to invite abundance or money or new clients into your business. So we have to work through, where is this coming from? We have to help you to release, like, she's judging herself, right? So we have to let you like release this self-judgment that you have, that some compassionate self-forgiveness, release that self-judgment. And when you can, because judgment is an abundance block. So when you can release that self-judgment, then what will happen is then the abundance will start to flow. And interestingly enough, she was also like afraid. She not only was she judging herself, but then she was like afraid that her dad was going to judge her. Like, you know, you're doing this thing and like, oh, you're not going to be taking care of me. When in fact, she was just projecting that, right? But the start comes from like releasing the judgment of herself. So she released that first. And once she did that, the irony was her dad came to her, because people judging you is a mirror of you judging yourself, right? It's a disbelief, a belief in lack in yourself in some way, right? So as soon as you start to change that internal belief, what happens is other people will mirror back to you whatever it is you're believing. So as soon as she let that judgment go, her dad came to her and said, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you building this business. He wasn't judging her. So as soon as she let it go, he told her like he was proud of her and he thought it was amazing. So that's like one way that we help our clients to work through that stuff. So it's really about, step one is identifying, where is this limiting belief coming from? Like, what is it? And then just like helping you, is it like judgment that needs to be released? Is it a negative mindset, a negative like truth that needs to be rewritten? And then do we need to implement practices to help you to reaffirm that new truth, like that, which goes to science, which is neuroplasticity, like you're essentially rewiring your brain for a new truth. So like those are some examples.
I love that. That's so cool. That's so true. And I think so many of us do that, right? Is that we, in our heads, we create a situation, we create a truth, like you said there, right? We create what we think is the truth, right? These people are judging me because of this. These people think this of me. But that's just a projection of our insecurities, our fear, our negative mindset, I guess, at that time. And if we're able to rewire that and get to the truth, the actual truth, not our truth, what is the actual truth, then we can let go of that. Because like it's so true what you say. If you have that negative mindset and you can't let go, you're not going to be able to be successful, because we have that subconscious, right? The subconscious is such a powerful thing, right? That's why goal setting and all this, vision boards and all that stuff is so important, because you've got to vision yourself having it and believe that you can have it. And if you're unable to let go of stuff and you hold on to negative truths that aren't necessarily truths, your subconscious is going to sabotage it. It's going to look for the reasons why you can do it. And it's so important. And I think, it's just such a fascinating topic. This mindset stuff with me is just amazing.
Yeah, exactly. How your thoughts and how you're being, that drives your actions. Even if those like thoughts are negative, even if those thoughts are not what you want, right? If you're holding on to these negative thoughts, that they will drive your doing, right? So the be, do, have formula. So it's about learning how to embody the be part to be what it is that you really want to have, right? When you can embody that be part to be what it is, whatever it is that you really want to have, then your actions will start to follow that be part.
That's someone told me, it's following exactly what you're saying. Someone told me is to whatever success you want it to be, don't necessarily figure out what the path is. And you've got to figure out the path, of course, but you've got to figure out who you need to be who is that person you need to be that success. So if you want to be a billionaire, who do you need to be a billionaire, right? Who is that person that is a billionaire? Because it's one thing you need to be, like you said, that person that's going to be a billionaire, or that's going to have a great portfolio, or that's going to be whatever. You need to figure out who you need to be to have that success. So I think that's really interesting. With let's go back to a little bit of the money mindset stuff as well. Is like what in terms of having that negative outlook or whatever, imposter syndrome. What are the problems you see that people have and that you have to work through?
Related to imposter syndrome?
Sorry, to the money mindset part of stuff.
Yeah. So people typically, the majority of people have no problem. There's 4 phases of money. So like phase 1 is receiving money. Phase 2 is keeping money, like just learning what it's like to have money, what it feels like to have money. And then if you can master phase 2, then you can build wealth, right? Like if you can like feel good having money, then you can build that wealth and everything, and like be a person who has money and be okay with that, right? Think and believe that you are worthy of it, right? And then once you can do that, then you can step into phase 3, which is stepping into overflow and creating more than enough, right? I like to, instead of saving, I like to call it like you're stacking the cash, right? Like you have all your investments, and wherever you're investing your money, and you're building that extra money. And then phase 4 is like living with that overflow, knowing that you can pay your bills, you can like your business bills, your personal bills, all of that, and have money left over to go like do whatever you want with. And then you can go do good things with it, right? Like you can donate to good causes, you can create your own nonprofit, whatever it is, right? You can take your family out to dinner, you can pay for a vacation for like your brothers and sisters, you can all go skiing together, right? And you're footing the bill, you can do stuff like that, right? And most people get stuck in phase 1 in receiving, because that's all comes up with the limiting beliefs around money, in terms of feeling guilty for receiving money and having the money once you have it. So if that happens, then all of a sudden you're not going to hang on to it. If you feel guilty, you're just going to get rid of it, right? Because you don't feel worthy of having it. And so it's really important to, when that starts to happen, if you're getting into a position where you know that you're going to run a business or you're going to start making a lot of money, you want to start to work through what it is. A good place that I have people start with is like, okay, so I want you to set either like an abundance goal or a money goal. And then after you set that goal, I want you to just observe what limiting beliefs come up that say you can't have that. Like it's not okay for you to have that. And then once you identify that, then I want you to dive deeper into where that's coming from. And then I want you to work through that, and I want you to rewrite it. So it helps you to rewrite that truth, because that's essentially your truth. I want you to rewrite that truth so that it like helps you to say that you can have it. And sometimes limiting beliefs are like, oh, well, having money will make me like a selfish a-hole, right? Like some people, they have that, they're a selfish jerk, right? Like that people have that limiting belief, which goes back to like, well, is that ultimately true? No, because good people do great things with money, right? Or wanting money makes you a materialistic person. And that goes, is that ultimately true? No, we were just talking about money as a neutral resource. Having money, it's not good or bad. It's a neutral resource that allows you to have more freedom and do really good things with it and live your life in abundance. And if you're happy and you're like living your life in abundance and you're taken care of, your family is taken care of, you can take care of other people, then you're at a higher energy vibe, right? You're on this like joy and appreciation high vibe, right? And that's good for the world. That's good for everybody, right? And it's not just a one-time practice. This is a practice of like every time. And I love that, like, I always say, you know, there are no business problems. There's only personal problems, right? So it's like, if you're not working through this as an entrepreneur, then like your business will not be successful. You're constantly going to be losing the money. You're going to be back at square one. So this is not just like a one-time deal. Every time, as you grow in your business and you reach new levels and you start to build and you hit new levels of wealth in your business, whatever it is, new levels of revenue, you have to work through these things. You have to incorporate a daily practice of working through these limiting beliefs. And it's not just rewriting it. The part of the B is actually feeling the feelings of the thing as if you already had it, right? Feeling the feelings of being a billionaire even before you're a billionaire. And that can be really hard to conceptualize for some people if they're not there yet. But there are different shifting tools that you can use, right? So the process would be, you set this goal, I want to be a billionaire. Then there's going to be a limiting belief that comes up that says, well, you can't have that. And so you identify what says I can't have it. And then you start to rewrite, like, okay, this is why I can have it. This is my new truth. This is why, this is what it's going to be. And then it's like, okay, so now I want to own that affirmation. I want to own that new truth. So part of owning that affirmation, that new truth, is about feeling the feelings of being a billionaire already. Different shifting tools that you can use to step into that are meditation, visualization. Some of my favorites are just like going out for a walk and like visualizing while I'm walking. So movement, any sort of movement or exercise. I even find it like when I'm lifting, when I'm working out, like it's the same thing as walking for me. Like, so if there's this goal or I'm trying to manifest something, this abundance or financial goal that I want, and I want to bring it in, then I think about it when I go for my walks. I think about it when I'm working out. I think about it like as if it already happened, like, oh my God, I already have this, right? So you start to have this script in your head, like that it's already happened, and then you pair it with something else. Another thing that helps too, another shifting tool, is listening to courses, podcasts of mentors, like maybe money mindset or motivational speakers who really motivate you and get you in that high vibe, in that zone, and get you pumped up, right? Which, like, I'm sure you can relate to this, Barry, because, you know, you used to be like, just from being an artist, from like performing in Ka, and then just like also like with wrestling, like there's like that, whatever it is, like you go through before you go into like getting on stage or before you're getting into a wrestling match, there's like visualization that you get into so that you can like you can perform the best that you absolutely can. Like you go through that script in your mind, you go through that visualization, and you feel the feelings. Well, it's the same thing as to affirm this new truth, right? So you can embody it and truly be. And those are a few of the shifting tools. Listening to music will get you there, but you have to just find the tools that work for you. Like for me, like meditation works well, and like movement, like pairing my thoughts with the movement. And then I do also have like money mindset mentors. Like I listen to Amanda Francis, Jen Sincero's book, You're a Badass at Making Money. Like she's like a great role model. Gabrielle Bernstein, she's all about the law of attraction and things like that. So those are just some of the tools that you can use.
Brilliant. What a phenomenal answer, and what a phenomenal, so much great information there. I was just nodding along with so much of that stuff. It's just brilliant. No, and it's so true. And the big thing I got away from that is it's a constant, you've got to constantly work on it, right? You can't just be like,
Yes.
hey, I'm here now. I feel comfortable with money. I'm going to be successful and blah, blah, blah. And that's it, right? It's a constant working on it. And the constant working is, you know, it should be fun. It should be something that you enjoy, something that you know, that you incorporate into your daily life, right? It's not like, you know, I hate people when they say, for example, I'm going on a diet. No, it needs to be a lifestyle change for it to be constant, right? If you go on a diet, if you starve yourself for 2 months to get skinny or to, you know, bulk up or whatever it is, right? That's not something that's going to be continuous. And it's the same with this, right? It's something that you need to incorporate. It needs to be part of your lifestyle. It's not something that you do for 2 months and then stop. It needs to be something that you do for 20 years every day and you incorporate it into your life, and it's part of your lifestyle. Otherwise, it's just here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a daily practice, and it's something that, like, when you're starting out, it might feel really awkward and might feel really hard, and you might be like, oh, I don't even know if this is working. But you just have to, like, the more you do it, then the easier, like anything, the more practice at it, like the easier it will get, and the more you'll be able to shift. And the shifting is about, like, it's this going back to the feelings. Like, the feelings are really, really important, because that's like the missing key in terms of, like, if you're feeling guilty, shameful, scared, you know, any of those things, it's about, like, you want to shift away from that and you want to feel good, right? It's about whatever you need to do to feel good. If you're feeling good and you're feeling peaceful and you're feeling like joy, appreciation, right? If you're feeling that versus, like, there's something called the emotional guidance scale, where, like, fear and judgment and shame are really low on the emotional guidance scale, and, like, joy, appreciation, love are really high. And this is, like, legit, scientists went and measured the frequency of emotions. And, like, so they came up with a scale. And what your goal is to, like, we're humans, so we're not going to feel like joyful and all the time and good all the time, right? It's about making sure that you're shifting so that your dominant vibe for the majority of the day is feeling good. And the more you implement this practice, then the faster you're going to be able to identify those fearful negative thoughts and shift quickly, so that it becomes more and more your dominant vibe. And when it's more and more your dominant vibe and you're feeling good, then that's when you start to truly embody the being. And then that's when all, like, the having of what you really want starts to come to fruition and starts to manifest itself.
That's brilliant. I love that. Yeah, because it's just such a mindset thing, right? We can change our mindset, right? Once you realize this and you train yourself and you're able to do it, once you start going into a negative thought process, you can snap out of it. You know, you can stop it. You can, you first you identify it and then you can change it. And it's just the power of the brain and the ability to create whatever life we want and to change, like you said, to vibrate on that positive, happy vibe is just all within us. I think that's just so amazing to me. And once I realized that, and I think more other people realize it, it's just such a life-changing thing. It really, really is.
Yeah. And other things are, like, you know, to help you to feel good, it's like, if you like cooking or baking, like, if you're feeling bad and, like, you're just like, nothing is working, like, meditating is not working for me to shift right now, if you like to cook or bake, like, go do stuff like that. Or if you have children and, like, it really brings you joy just to spend time with your children, go spend time with your kids. Just, like, get outside, get out of the house, go do something with your kids. Or if you have pets, if you have a dog, go, like, take your dog for a walk. Or it's like doing things that just helps you to feel just you know, it helps you to feel good and really, like, at one with, like, this, like, the source good energy, right?
Yeah. This is so cool. I love this stuff. It's like you brought so much great information. And I know this is a real estate podcast, but it's all applicable, right? Because it's all about, you know, changing that mindset and being successful and just learning and constantly evolving as a person. But
well, it's so important for entrepreneurs, whatever the industry. Like, it's essential. You have to work through this stuff.
For sure.
And especially for real estate, because there's a lot of money in that industry. So it's like you're around money all the time. So, like, the more comfortable you are with money, then, like, the more successful your business is going to be.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you for sharing that. I really, really, really appreciate all that great information that you shared. But as this show is called Wrestling with Real Estate, I like to incorporate some wrestling-related real estate questions. And the first question is, what would your wrestling name be?
It would be Xena.
Perfect.
Xena the warrior princess for sure. Because when I used to do strength and fitness coaching, I used to have like Xena used to be like, I used to talk about like for women, like lift weights, be strong, be Xena. Like she's really feminine, but she's really powerful and strong, right?
Yeah, awesome. I think that's very, very fitting for sure. Every wrestler has a special move. What is your special move?
I'd be a mindset Jedi.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And you talked about a lot of great mindset stuff. Absolutely. What's been the biggest body slam you've taken?
That would be when we owned our facility back in Boston. It was owning a gym is a really tough business to get into. And there's like something called like, entrepreneurial poverty, I would say, in terms of like, you're always putting your money into your business. You accumulate a lot of debt because you're trying to like keep that gym running. And we had a lot of financial challenges with our gym, and a lot of lesson learned that came out of that. And as a result of a lot of, it's a long story, I won't get into all the details, but with our first landlord, we ended up getting into litigation with them and fighting it for about a year and a half until we couldn't fight it anymore. And our house was a guarantee as a part of that lease. And so in order to save our house, we had to file not only for business bankruptcy, but we had to file for personal bankruptcy. So that was like a huge body slam. That was probably like the lowest of the low. And the great thing that came out of it was that when I was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. That's where I met my husband. He's from New York originally, and that's where our gym was. We got sick and tired of the Boston winters. Like 2015, there was like this horrible winter that we had where we had got like 7 feet of snow in like a 3-week period. And we were just like, at that moment, we were like, we're done. As soon as we're done running our gym, we're going to move somewhere where the weather is better and there's a lower cost of living. Well, the great thing that came out of that horrible experience with the gym was lots of lessons learned that have made us really incredible entrepreneurs. And now we have like multiple 6-figure online business, right, that we've built in just a couple of years. And then also we ended up moving out to Las Vegas because my husband accepted a job with Cirque, and then I went to go work for Cirque too. So we ended up we manifested our dream of living somewhere with better weather and a lower cost of living. And we love Las Vegas. So that I would say that was the body slam. And, but we bounced back from it. And now we know how to do things like better than ever. I do not regret any of that. Like definitely I struggled with like a lot of guilt and shame around that for a while, but I've worked through it, and I'm actually like proud of it in some ways, because I'm just like, I know we hit the lowest of the low for any entrepreneur, and like we came back and we rebuilt a business that's just like really kick ass. So
yeah, that's really cool. I'm sorry that you guys went through it, but I'm happy that you guys.
That's all right.
It's led to where you are, right? Because I was telling you this off air before. I hear this so many times that there's a low that leads to a high, and that's what I think as successful people, as entrepreneurs, you've got to accept that there's going to be low. But as long as you keep pushing through and keep working hard and learn the lessons and use the positivity that can come out of it and use that as motivation, you can lead to so much more success, I believe. Like so.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the success. So was there a moment that you were standing on the top rope getting ready to jump, but you were too scared? What was it and how did you overcome it?
Yes, that was right. That was when I was deciding whether to leave my office job to work in fitness full time. So at the time I was working as an IT consultant. I was a business process and analysis. I was making $100K a year plus bonus. I had 401k, I had benefits, but I was really, really miserable in my job. And I had deliberated. I got my spin instructor certification in 2003, and I deliberated for like 5 years about leaving my office job, leaving that job to work full time in the fitness industry, essentially making $0 because it's like sales, working for a commercial gym. But I knew it would make me really happy, and I was not happy doing what I was doing. And so finally, even when I was terrified to do it, like I finally, like that last year that when I finally made the leap, I just did it. I like got my certifications in place. I had paid off any debt. I had some money in the bank, like some savings to like carry me. I took the leap, and I remember that day, like in the morning, I was like, when I left my job, I was like super excited. And then I went to Kung Fu that night and I started crying to my friends in the dressing room, the changing room, like, oh my God, what did I do? But then like the next day I woke up and I went to work and I had 3 clients off the bat, just from 3 one-on-one clients, just from teaching spin classes. And I never looked back. I just like kept going, built my business, and I just have been an entrepreneur ever since. And it's pretty cool that that happened. It's amazing.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, cool story. Very, very cool story. And thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Well, what a fun interview. Thank you so much. I had no idea that you were into all this stuff, Kat. Otherwise, I would have bugged you a lot more. You know, some great conversations, right? But it's funny how these things come around. So I'm so happy that we got you on the show today, because you shared so much fantastic information, and I really appreciate that. But before we end this interview, people want to reach out to you, people want to get in touch with you, if they want to, you know, find out how you can maybe help them or work with them, what's the best way for them to do so?
Best way would be on Instagram. And I know my name is really long, but my handle is at Artemis_Scantalides. I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes.
Yes.
Yeah. So Instagram is the best way. Just send me a DM and we can chat and like go from there. We can schedule a call or whatever it is that, you know, if they just want to chat over DMs or schedule a call, whatever it is, we can do that. So
very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you so much. Honestly, it was such a great interview, and have a awesome rest of your day out in sunny Las Vegas, where I am as well. So
thank you. Yes, I know. It's a beautiful day today too. It's
yes,
awesome.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.